Guys, today I'm going to be covering pretty much the new cyber war China has started with, well, the world. You need to listen to this, you need to tune into this, because this is probably one of the most important videos you're ever going to watch in your entire life, because this affects you and your PC personally. And mine. Welcome to the episode. All right, guys, let's just get straight into it. No mucking around. This is an extremely serious video. Back in 2020, HP found out a problem with their firmware issue with their hot swappable SCSI SSDs. After 40,000 hours of operation, there was basically a death of their SSDs without fail, and a critical patch needed to be put into place. Cool. All right. Yep. That's for industry. That's for enterprise. You know, it doesn't affect us as end users. We're getting there. All right. So moving on to 2022. Back in 21. Then we move through to 2022. So 6 high-severity firmware vulnerabilities impact a broad range of HP devices in use in the enterprise environment and are still waiting to be patched, although some of them were publicly disclosed in July of 21. So 2020, servers. 2021, workstations, laptops, NUCs, enterprise still. Okay, cool. A year goes by in 2022, and from 2021, still don't fix the problem. They finally did. So Black Hat vendor hasn't released the security updates to impact the models many customers exposed to attacks in 22. Okay. The research reported the bugs HP in July 21 and the other 3 in April of 2022. So the vendor had between 4 months and then a full year to push updates out for affected devices. Cool. This is firmware updating we're talking about. So firmware is what controls your device's hardware. Yeah. Tells it what to do, how to do it, creates security policies and other things to work with Windows so it's nice and secure and safe and can't be hacked. Let's go with hacked as the first word for this video. So moving on, just from a bit of a background, Microsoft shares script to fix wirh BitLocker bypass flaw. Bypass flaw? What are you talking about? Well, just you wait, guys. Shit is about to get real. So guys, look, Microsoft shares script to fix wirh BitLocker bypass flaw. Once again, firmware related. Microsoft has released a script to make it easier to patch a BitLocker bypass security vulnerability in the Windows recovery environment, Windows RE. The PowerShell script, yada yada yada, simplifies the process of securing WinRE images against attempts to exploit. This is where we get interested in the further conversation we're about to have. You guys need to listen. CVRE 2022 VOR1099 flaw that enables attackers to bypass the BitLocker device encryption feature system storage devices. Successful exploitation of this enables threat actors with physical access to access encrypted data in low complexity attacks. According to Microsoft, the vulnerability can be exploited in the user has enabled BitLocker TPM plus PIN protection. Most of us have a PIN to log in our computers or a password. It's the same kind of thing. The same PowerShell script was developed by the Microsoft product team to help automate and update the Windows RE images on Windows 10 and Windows 11 devices. Microsoft says it in a support document published on Thursday, 17th of March, this year, a couple of days ago. We have such a serious issue ahead of us. Alleged breach forum owner Pompurin arrested on cybercrimes charges. This happened on the 17th of March as well, this year, 3 days ago. U.S. law enforcement arrested on Wednesday a New York man believed to be that guy, the owner of the Breach Forum's hacking forum. According to court documents, he was charged with one count of conspiracy to solicit individuals to sell unauthorized access devices. During the arrest, the defendant allegedly admitted to his real name was Connor Brian Fitzpatrick, and he was the Pompurin, I don't know, just what a stupid name, the owner of the Breach Forum Cybercrimes Forum. When I arrested the defendant on March 15th, 23, so only a couple of days before this, Fitzpatrick was released on Thursday on a $300,000 bond and will appear in the District Court of the Eastern District of Virginia on March 24, as first reported by Bloomberg Media. This guy, part of this. This is the most frightening, scary, horrifying thing that has ever happened to the IT industry. Your computer is directly affected by this, especially if you've bought cheat hacks in the last month. Stealthy UEFI malware bypassing secure boot enabled by unpatchable Windows flaw. So I briefly mentioned what was happening with the firmware issues and SSDs dying for HP and Dell, right? That's on the server side. Then we move forward a year and 4 months to then that being patched for the firmware, but then workstations, laptops, tablets, mobile phones, all under the corporate guise of the NT environment, Windows NT environment, or whatever it is, right? That had not been patched and dealt with and firmware updated for a year and 4 months by the cybersecurity firm that's meant to do that for enterprise industry. Guess where these hackers are from? Industry. The IT industry in the last 12 to 18 months has basically started to disintegrate. Silicon Valley is falling apart and very quickly going out of business. Intel are in massive trouble at the moment financially, technologically, and generally in business itself. NVIDIA are looking at walking off the cliff at the moment with their crazy pricing, their underperforming GPUs, and their lies. AMD are about to fall off a cliff with 7950X 3D and the 7950X and the 7900. Don't forget, I've got a 3900X in my PC. And their 7800X is their best CPU in their 7000 series. AMD have taken a bit of a right turn into the valley of death all of a sudden. So when we're looking at that, we're looking at Facebook, we're looking at Apple, we're looking at all these major corporations, including Elon Musk's enterprises, not SpaceX, but other ones, Tesla. They're in trouble. And Silicon Valley is losing billions of dollars. The Silicon Valley Bank in America just went into liquidation. And another bank, the Bank of Arizona, I think it is as well. I'm not too sure which other bank it was, but Silicon Valley Bank itself, backed by humongous corporate clients, has just got into liquidation. The IT industry is in dire straits and no one's talking about it. I've been watching the news, I've been reading the articles, and I've been hearing it to myself. Then this. So guys, look, what I'm about to tell you reading this article affects you directly. This malware goes in under your BIOS, okay? If you don't understand what your BIOS is, I'll show you what it is. It's a tiny little chip soldered to your motherboard. It's non-replaceable. It can be reprogrammed with a flashing tool, which is a little device, but you have to have a qualified technician who's going to charge you more than the motherboard's worth to do this. And there is no guarantee next time you turn your computer on and you download something, you're not going to get it back. Okay? Because once your hardware's been identified once by this malware, well, it's going to seek it out again to reinfect it as quickly as possible. So We're talking about a virus, a malware virus that hijacks Secure Boot, your CMOS, your BIOS, your master boot record, takes over the security protocols for your Windows kernel, WinINI file. Yeah, the thing that actually runs Windows, the heart, the brain, the soul of your Windows. Yeah, the kernel itself. It sets itself up persistently in your RAM, on your drives, and at any time, if you do anything to upset the developers of this malware, intentionally or by accident, you will be boot nuked. Now, there's two different kinds of boot nuking, okay? One boot nuke is to basically they will erase all of your hard drives and overvolt the NAND flash on your SSDs, your NVMEs, overvolt the reading head on your mechanical hard drives and make them irreversibly broken. They will kill your storage. You will lose all of your data. All of your data. Includes external hard drives as well. Alternatively, if you really upset them or they're just feeling in a really bad mood that day, they'll probably just set the malware off to overvolt your RAM, blow it up. Overvolt your CPU, blow it up. Overvolt your GPU, blow it up. Pretty much fry your literal computer components hardware-wise, actually blow your computer up. And you will have no idea of when and how it happens. This malware hijacks everything, and it can send out, because it's got a low CMOS BIOS control of your computer, it controls your voltages, it controls the whole boot process of your computer. The second that power supply goes on, it registers power to that chip. It runs before anything else. It bypasses your secure boot. It bypasses UEFI drivers. It bypasses any secure protocols, and it does what it wants, and it loads itself up into your RAM as soon as your RAM posts. If you try to put your computer up and have your CAT cable disconnected from the back of your computer, and obviously not being running Wi-Fi at the same time, it will stay dormant. The second you plug that CAT cable back in or connect to Wi-Fi, it's an 83 kilobyte file. Now, a megabyte is 1,000 bytes. A gigabyte is 1,000,000 bytes. A terabyte is 1,000,000,000,000 bytes. Okay? A kilobyte is like a grain of sand, even smaller in reflective thinking, right? It is literally, and it's done. Yeah? You won't know. You won't have any idea it's happened. There's two ways you can get this at the moment. If you have downloaded cheats in the last month, you're an idiot to start with. You have a 98% chance you already have this malware in your under your BIOS on your motherboard. 2, there are files called reverse Unicode format files. Big name, very simply put, they're executable files that may look like a Word document, Word format, whatever you want to call the name of the file, doesn't really matter. .docx. Okay, cool. That's a Windows, Microsoft Office file. Cool. That's just a Word document. But in these cases, the .exe after the file name has been hidden by reverse Unicode formatting. Now, if you want to find more out about that, I can go into depth and explain that at a later date in a different video. Extremely hard for a normal end user to detect until you double click on that file icon. It will not open up a Word document. It will simply just not do anything on the desktop, and you just go, oh, okay, well, that's a corrupt Word document or whatever that was, delete it, and you forget about it. Unfortunately, it's also run this malware software or similar malware kind of software in the background that is intended to basically open your computer up, bypass all of your security. No questions asked, because it comes in under its own UEFI security protocol. So your antivirus just sees it as normal Windows files. It doesn't see it as a malicious or an alien software or hardware ID or anything like that, right? It just sees as, okay, cool, no worries, just Windows booting. So your inbuilt antivirus and firewall, useless against it. Any high quality like I use 2 antiviruses and 2 firewalls. Yeah. So no one can even try to hack me. But if I download a file and I run this, it won't matter. Those expensive programs that I pay a license for each year will be literally worthless, because these guys have full bootlog access, right? And root access to my kernel. So as all I do is basically next time shut my computer down, restart it. It's on my BIOS chip, below my BIOS. It hijacks everything. I boot my computer up, have no idea it's running. Then all of a sudden, 3 days later, in the middle of a game, in the middle of doing a Word document, checking emails, checking the web, whatever it is, poof, blue smoke. And that smell, that burnt electrical smell. And it hasn't just blown up the RAM, it hasn't just blown up the GPU, it's blown up everything. This is what cheaters have done. Those cheaters out there, and if you are watching this video and you are a cheater in games, you have been feeding a criminal, now weaponized hacking organization which is bound worldwide. It started in China and is now in Europe, in China, Middle East, and in some other Asian countries which I won't mention. These people are top of industry employees, are so bloody qualified, it's mental. And they know more about programming than you and I will ever know in our entire existence. These people can't get a job in IT because there are no jobs in IT for them. These people still have to make a living. And guess what? They're making more money by doing this now than they ever have when they were working in industry, and they were earning $500,000 in industry. Imagine what they're earning now. Cheaters have fed this industry for years now. The idiocy, the numbskullery of this younger generation, not doing any research to understand what they're getting themselves into. The fact that they're turning their antivirus off and even Windows Defender to use these cheats to start with, and then not understanding the repercussions of the money they're stealing from their parents' credit cards or spending on their own credit cards if they're older, by feeding a criminal syndicate of ex-IT professionals worldwide to then have this. You have single-handedly fed these hackers all the money they could ever imagine having and so much more. The 6 hackers that just got arrested in China by the Chinese government, yeah, these 6 people that just got arrested in China for the Escape from Tarkov debacle thanks to Goat and his videos, yeah, he got boot nuked as well in his second video. He explained it all. Right? He tried to get onto their Discord, tried to get verified under this old account, obviously, blah, blah, blah. Right, so we're in a situation now where your physical BIOS chip on your motherboard has now been hijacked. This is not replaceable. And if you wanted someone to flash your BIOS chip with the correct flashing equipment, it'd cost you more to get this fixed than to replace the motherboard. Now, if you own a X series motherboard from AMD at the moment, it's not a viable option. It's just not. And a Z series board from Intel, same thing. And the fact that there is a very high probability this UEFI firmware malware virus will probably already have got your digital signature from your computer anyway, especially on that original motherboard if you get it fixed, and it'll just reinfect it as quickly as possible because it wants to obviously, it has access already, and it'll already have a digital kind of trail, like a paper trail we have in life, back to that motherboard, back to that BIOS chip, and put it back on as quickly as you got it off. And you'll spend a lot of money doing that. And there's no guarantee. You get a new motherboard and you go back to your normal browsing habits, and then all of a sudden you get it back again anyway. There's no guarantees. This is unfixable. This is unavoidable. And all because kids needed to cheat in computer games. So back in the day, you had the Italian mob, right? You had your front of business, which is your pizza shop, your Italian restaurant, your pharmacy, whatever it might have been, news agency, yeah? But the back end business was where they did all the real business, the criminal business, the drugs, the moving of stolen goods, etc., knocking people off. So they had legitimate clearing houses, laundering houses, which are the businesses, and then they had the real business operation in the background. Hackers have been doing this with the cheat websites for God knows how long, 7, 8, 10 years. And stupid kids and stupid adults who didn't do anything to educate themselves about the dangers of what they're getting themselves into have now fed a multi-trillion-dollar criminal, weaponized criminal hacker syndicates worldwide to even screw you over and me, an innocent victim, somebody fighting against this rot. Let's read through the article so you get a really good understanding, the cheaters that are watching this video and the people that are the victims like the rest of us, to get a really good understanding of how dangerous and irreversible this is. We have just entered into a cyber war with China. For real. Now, today. This guy, part of that whole syndicate, he was one guy in America, of all places. He was financially benefiting. Yeah? That's obviously a stock photo, but I would not be surprised if he had a sick setup and a Mercedes or something, driving around a BMW Mercedes or something, right? Researchers on Wednesday announced a major cybersecurity find, the world's first known instance of real-world malware that can hijack a computer's boot process, even when secure boot and other advanced protections are enabled and running on fully updated versions of Windows. So the most recent security policy that was updated for Windows 10, which was obviously originally for Windows 11, which has been reverse engineered to work with Windows 10 as well, which has been causing all the problems with the Vanguard update, right? So if you've just tried to recently update your Valorant after not being on it for a while, and you had all kinds of problems because of incompatible software issues, and also obviously the little red exclamation mark in Valorant itself saying that the same thing, because Vanguard is a snooping software. Don't worry, you've already agreed in the end user license agreement in terms of service to allow it to do that. It takes your data, your browsing habits, your searching habits, your most recent file searches or open files on your computer, and shares that data with third parties. Then after that, washes their hands of it and don't care what anyone does with that data as long as they buy it, including nefarious things. And this is why Vanguard has been so hated and so mistrusted from day one, and the fact now it's not even an anti-cheat, right? With the advent of Ricochet being brought in at the very, very beginning of this year, we're starting to see people getting caught for hacking again, right? Saw it on stream, was it yesterday as well? Dubbed Black Lotus, the malware is what is known as a UEFI bootkit. These sophisticated pieces of malware target the UEFI, short for Unified Extensible Firmware Interface, the low level and complex chain of firmware responsible for booting up virtually every modern computer. No one is immune to this. as the mechanism that bridges the PC's device firmware with its operating system. The UEFI is an OS in its own right, a low-level DOS-based OS. It's located on the SPI-connected flash storage chip soldered onto your computer motherboard, your BIOS chip that I just showed you, making it difficult to inspect or patch. Previously discovered bootkits such as Cosmic Strand, Mosaic Regressor, which I'm aware of, and Moon Bounce, I'm also aware of, work in targeting the UEFI firmware stored in the flash storage chip, your BIOS chip. Again, others include Black Lotus, targeting the software stored in your UEFI system partition. Okay, a hard drive where you store Windows onto, it creates a partition, a readable space on the drive where the drive can access and share read-write data, random read-writes, blah, blah, blah. The chip itself needs to be formatted in a base format of an operating system for the UEFI to work in the first place. Once again, usable space on the chip, which isn't much. It hijacks the actual partition that your BIOS and CMOS run on. It becomes your operating system. So it is below the level of your actual BIOS and CMOS itself. It takes over everything, injects itself into everything, and makes itself persistent at all times. Impossible to remove. Once you've got it, it's computer aids. Your computer's going to die at some stage. That is it. There's no fixing it. Unless you replace your motherboard, but there's no more guarantee that you replace your motherboard and they don't just come down the same physical address that you're at and reinfect you all over again. That's fun, isn't it? Thanks, hackers. Thanks, cheaters. You idiot kids have created a weaponized virus that will blow your computer up. We'll get to that in a minute. Because the UEFI is the first thing to run when a computer is turned on, it influences the OS, security apps, and all other software that follows. These traits make the UEFI the perfect place to launch malware. When successful, UEFI bootkits disable OS security mechanisms and ensure that the computer remains infected with stealthy malware and runs at the kernel mode of the user mode. Okay, so we're talking about the kernel. We're talking about the brains, the guts of Windows itself, the whole operating shell of the operating system, not the graphic user interface that you see on screen, but all the stuff that tells stuff what to do and where to sit on the screen and how to work and all the back-end processes to make Windows. It hijacks that and pretty much at any stage can blow your computer up. Thanks again. Okay. So yeah, runs in the kernel mode or user mode, even after the operating system is reinstalled or a hard drive is replaced. So if it's an NVMe SSD, doesn't matter. If it's an SSD, doesn't matter. If it's a mechanical drive, doesn't matter. If it's an external drive, doesn't matter. It infects like AIDS. It will go into every part of your hardware and you will never get rid of it. If you want to replace this hardware, drives, for example, get a hammer and smash them because it will spread to the next computer you put it into the second you put it in. You know how big this file is in complete size? 82 kilobytes. 82 tiny kilobytes. You plug your cat cable into the back of your computer, you turn your Wi-Fi on, it uses megabytes of data to negotiate the link with your router for wireless, and for the cat cable, megabytes as well, because it sends packets up and packets down, and it tells all the software on your computer that there's internet available, is there an update, sends a request, gets a response from the software, blah, 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 right? Megabytes. We're talking about kilobytes. Tiny little grains of sand on a beach. They install like that. You won't have any idea this has happened at all. This is so well compressed and so well written and so powerful that it'll uncompress itself where it needs to in your RAM, runs in your RAM, your volatile memory in real time, unlocks and opens up and expands all these tools, which are very small as well, but extremely powerful, and then goes to work in your computer and causes mayhem without you even knowing. As appealing as it is to threat actors to install nearly invisible malware that has kernel-level access, there are a few formidable hurdles standing in their way. One is the requirement that the first hack to the device, and one is the requirement that they first hack the device and gain administrator rights, either by exposing one or more vulnerabilities of the OS or apps by tricking a user into installing Trojanized software. Only after this high bar is cleared, the threat actor attempt an installation on the bootkit. The second thing standing in the way of UEFI attacks is the UEFI secure boot, an industry-wide standard that uses cryptographic signatures to ensure that each piece of software used during startup is trusted by a computer's manufacturer. Secure Boot is designed to create a chain of trust that will prevent attackers from replacing the intended boot up firmware with malicious firmware. Don't forget, this process, this malware, hijacks all of this, disables Secure Boot, and replaces it with its firmware counterpart that looks like Secure Boot, to Windows at least, and to your antivirus and your firewalls. Yeah? So yeah, if a single firmware link in the chain isn't recognized, a Secure Boot will prevent the device from starting normally. While researchers have found Secure Boot vulnerabilities in the past, this has been no indication that the threat actors have been able to bypass the protection in the 12 years that has been in existence until now. This is only 3 days ago, guys. This got published. On Wednesday, researchers at security firm ESET, massive antivirus company, more for enterprise than they are for end users, presented a deep dive analysis of the world's first in wild UEFI bootkit that bypasses Secure Boot on fully updated UEFI systems running fully updated versions of Windows 10 and 11. While there are no strings or other indicators directly showing the name of the creators or the bootkit, ESET researchers concluded that it most certainly corresponds to a bootkit known as Black Lotus that has been advertised in underground cybercrime forums since last year. Last year, when the HP issue happened with enterprise end user devices. Aha! Yes, industry is 1,000% to blame. Cheaters are also 1,000,000% to blame for financing these idiots to do this shit and give them an awesome lifestyle in the process, and Lamborghinis and Ferraris as well on top. The price is only $5,000 and $200 for updates. That's literal pocket change. Dust in their pocket. $5,000. These guys are making more than $1 million a year right now doing this crap illegally. And then we come back to these CVE codes from earlier. To defeat Secure Boot, the bootkit exploits CVE 2022, a vulnerability in all supported versions of Windows that Microsoft patched in January 22. The logic flaw referred to a baton drop by the researcher who discovered it can be exploited to remove Secure Boot functions from the boot sequence during startup attacks. The logic flaw referred to as baton drop by the researcher who discovered it can be exploited to remove Secure Boot functions from the boot sequence during startup. Attackers can also abuse the flaw to obtain keys for BitLocker, which we've already discussed. And just to refresh your memory, this one here. Yep. So Microsoft have provided a patch band-aid to this real problem. These people will get past this using this before you know it. A couple of days' time from now, you'll hear about more updates on this discussion. I swear to you. A Windows feature for encrypting hard drives, right? BitLocker. It's more for enterprise once again. but you can use BitLocker on your computer at home too. The CVE 2022 file has proven to be especially valuable to the Black Lotus creators. Despite Microsoft releasing new patch software, which is what I just showed you, the vulnerable signed binaries have yet to be added to the UEFI revocation list. That flags boot files that should no longer be trusted. Well, shit, it should have been done the second they released the patch. Microsoft has not explained the reason, but is likely to do with hundreds of vulnerable bootloaders that remain in use today. So that means 85% of enterprise end user PCs or workstations, the IT policy team's not doing the updates because the tech support guys are lazy. Fact, not very competent. That's the other problem with IT at the moment as well. They're employing a lot of people from overseas who aren't very well qualified because they're cheap. Where if you employ an Australian technician and actual IT policies professional, it costs about four times the cost of a salary to pay them instead. So it's incompetence. Microsoft is going, well, we have to wait for catch up. Industry's to blame again. Microsoft actually aren't the bad guys here. It's HP and Dell that caused the problem in the first place. And our industry is in such disarray with what's going on in Silicon Valley, and Silicon Valley Bank shutting down, right? Apple and everyone's in trouble. Nvidia, Intel, AMD, they're all in massive trouble, but no one wants to talk about it. Silicon Valley is going through, I think, the end of its golden era, at the same time, a cliff. And AMD needs to wake up to themselves. The new 7000 series chips are garbage, except for the 7800X. But the chips above that are literally a waste of money. Nvidia, out of their bloody minds, and Intel making crappy new CPUs and graphics cards that no one's buying. Silicon Valley is in trouble, guys, for real. If those signed binaries are revoked, millions of devices will no longer work. As a result, fully updated devices remain vulnerable because attackers can simply replace patched software with the older software. Vulnerable software. And that's what this malware can do. It gives them remote access to your entire PC, your administrative rights, everything. And if you patch it, they will simply just roll it back without you knowing in the background, and you'll be completely vulnerable again, though you think you've patched it. So this is a Band-Aid. It's a piece of, it makes you think you've solved the problem when in no way have you in reality. Next time you turn your computer on, it's back to that. And this has full control over your computer all over again. Once again, thanks, cheaters. Black Lotus is written in assembly and C programming languages, so C++, C++, allowing the developers to cram a full suite of powerful features into a file that takes only 80 kilobytes. Sorry, I was 2 kilobytes off of storage space. It can reliably disable not just secure boot, but several other OS security mechanisms, including BitLocker, Hypervisor Protected Code Integrity, HVCI, and Windows Defender. Once Black Lotus is fully installed, the bootkit deploys a custom kernel driver that, among other things, protects the bootkit from being removed from the ESP. It also installs a HTTP downloader that communicates with an attacker-operated command and control server and can now load additional user mode or kernel mode payloads. As I said, they get full control and there is nothing you can do to stop it. Basically, throw your PC in the bin, move house, new ISP, and buy a new computer. The only way you're going to get away with it, or away from it, after you've got it. And ESET's Booten alluded to above rather than getting bogged down in the complexities of UEFI firmware and having to defeat various memory detections built into the SPI connected flash chip, your BIOS chip, that stores that Black Lotus developers deploy standard binary files to the UEFI system partition, right? The ESP, as it's abbreviated, is a traditional disk partition that's much easier to access. Unlike the flash chip, the ESP doesn't have protections such as BIOS write enable, BIOS lock enable, and SPI protected ranges, which makes it difficult to write or modify stored data. Oh, should I stop here? Yes. Let's zoom in. Now, certificate. This is a certificate that this malware virus replaces your kernel certificate with. Algorithm. Encryption, SA encryption, yeah? Shall with RSA encryption, right? Issuer, China, when they cry. Validity before the 13th, August 13th of 22 and up to 2032. Beyond the life of Windows 10 and probably the life of Windows 11 towards its end before Windows 12 comes out. And when they cry from China. So this guy, the 6 people that just got arrested in China by the Chinese government for national security risk because they're the ones running the hacks for Escape from Tarkov, the wiggle that broke Tarkov, the internet, yeah, that Goat did. Goat Moth is his actual channel. Guys, he has uncovered the biggest can of worms in tech history by accident. So he set up an alt account for Escape from Tarkov, downloaded the software, only ESP only, and he did it for scientific research purposes. You can go watch his videos. If you want me to send you the links, whatever, jump into the Discord. I've got them already in the YouTube media channel for you to watch already. Yeah, basically he did the wiggle and they did the wiggle. Boom. Over 6,700 players got live banned within 48 hours. Riot and Vanguard got involved because Vanguard was detecting Escape from Tarkov cheats, but can't detect Valorant cheats. Something's a bit sus there, isn't it, guys? Maybe the 23-year-old guy running the anti-cheat department at Riot, he was an ex-CSGO hacker. Then he became a hacker hunter in Valorant for the first 6 months, and they gave him a job at the head of their anti-cheat department. Right, are really stupid. You just employed a hacker to help hackers make money. You're idiots. And Vanguard doesn't even do anti-cheat. Ricochet, that has been brought in January this year, is doing it for it, and you're just using Vanguard as a snooping software to sell data to third parties to make money on top of selling skins. You're a pretty scummy company, Riot. Truth. That's the truth, guys. It's rough, it's hard, but it is what it is, and it has led to this. The link to this website below. Now, it is not known who is behind Black Lotus. Well, we know it's China at the very beginning of it, because the 6 people that they arrested in China, the Chinese government arrested in China, are the front end for the mafia of this that are giving the revenue in to pay for this to be built, to be made, to be developed and obviously deployed. Yeah? So cheaters, you are all to blame. You have HP and Dell did shit jobs at making sure this code never got made available. Right? Now it is. Led to Black Lotus being written. Okay. But then all you cheaters have financed it to become weaponized. Not just another UEFI hack attack. You have allowed this with the money you've stolen from your parents' credit cards or wasted on your own, have financed a criminal syndicate, which is worldwide in Europe, these countries, and most of Asia, especially China, to weaponize a malware virus which is going to F your own computers up and mine and everyone else's who's a poor victim of your stupidity. The money you have stolen or the money you have wasted has gone straight into buying these people, Mercedes, Ferraris, Audis, Lamborghinis, and help weaponize the most dangerous computer virus that has ever existed. If these guys are let to run much longer, this is going to just evolve from your end user PCs and enterprise workstations to the Internet of Things itself getting killed, shut down, AIDS of the internet AIDS, death sentence. Now, I just recently, as you know, had 2 weeks off the internet because the stupid ISP we had, they've been reported to ICAC and stuff like that. I won't say the name of them because I don't want to, cause any dramas there. Then we went to another one that couldn't even get their act together. And they're a big one too, but have a very coloured history. To then go with one of the big guys, and now I've got the best internet of my entire life at this address, at least. So yeah, in that time, the kids got actual depression, actual clinical depression. We had to go to the doctors, and the doctor explained it's technology withdrawals. It's like a drug, gaming addiction withdrawals from my son. His behavior has spiraled since he's got back on. Plus the game he was playing, long story. What happens to you kids if you don't have the internet, you don't have a computer, you don't have a tablet, you don't have a phone, you don't have a smartwatch, you don't have any tech to play with? You're going to become aggressive, argumentative, violent, spiteful, hateful, and most of you kids aren't going to mean it. You are literally going to be detoxing from the drug that you've been taking all this time. It's called the internet drug. And going back to a simplified life is not going to be easy. Most of you will not be able to adjust well at all. We are going to have so many behavioral issues with kids and adults who have gaming addiction. Things are looking bad. Like the economy sucks worldwide. The way things are going worldwide at the moment as well aren't good. And now this, because kids cheated in computer games and paid for it. Numbskulls. Okay, so it's not known who's behind the Black Lotus thing, but it's definitely China, most probably Russia, and the Middle East, as well as some in America, some in Europe. Yeah, it's a worldwide epidemic. It's been happening since about 2020 anyway. When the Big Short happened, that's when the stock markets crashed and all the dramas happened in 2018 and so on. That's when that kind of ended. This began, right? The cryptocurrency dramas and the mining issue and the hijacking and hackers and a lot of IT people losing their jobs. Okay, so often attackers in one of these countries takes pains not to infect devices there or to prevent being arrested and prosecuted, since these places have treaties allowing for extradition. We don't in the West, but in those countries they do. So they kind of have a ceasefire on this over there. So if you're from one of those countries, there's on that list there, you're safe from this. If you're not from one of those countries like 98% of the world, you're not safe. Long story cut short, guys, we are in very serious doo-doo. We are looking at the potential beginning of World War III, but not how anyone ever expected it to be. Everyone knew it was going to be a cyber war and a physical war, drones, etc. No one saw this coming. I didn't see this coming, and I spent most of my life in IT. Other people I've shown this to are literally jaw on the ground, shocked and scared in the IT industry or IT related people, because this is unheard of. This is precedental. This is something that no one can recover from. And if you're infected once, you're going to be infected again. If you're at the same address, same computer, different motherboard, doesn't matter. Your digital signature, your digital serials of your hardware will make it extremely easy for these hackers to track you back down with a new motherboard and reinfect it in a day. Not months, in a day. If you are a cheater and you have bought cheats in the last month, there's a 98% to 99% chance you already have this malware running your PC. If you have any issues booting your computer, anything stops working, hard drives specifically, or your RAM, one of your RAM sticks blow up, or your graphics card stops working, you've got it. You've got computer aids. And you may as well pick the whole thing up and your power supply, as well. Everything that has a digital serial in there, which is everything, including your fans, which can't be infected, no, unless they're those clipped together Lian Li ones, which have a control box that links into your motherboard through onboard USB. I'd chuck that as well because it's got a little memory chip on them as well in their control box for the lighting and stuff, 5-volt lighting. Yeah, pretty much rip everything out of your case, chuck it in the bin, change internet providers, stop freaking cheating altogether, and build a new computer and hope to God for the best you don't get reinfected. That's the only advice I can give you, cheaters. You have dug yourselves such a huge hole that karma is going to come and kick you so hard in the backside that you're never going to recover from it. For the rest of us, we now have to watch every single tiny thing we do on the internet because of you stupid idiots. So thank you once again for ruining the internet for people because you didn't want to make an effort and get good at computer games. You wanted to take the easy route, the dodgy route, the illegal route, stealing from your parents' route, wasting your own money on your own credit card that you probably can't pay back route, just to cheat for a day, a week, a month, or whatever period of time. Bought a stolen hacker account, blah, blah, blah. Just like that idiot, right? Death Valley fan, blah, 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 in-game. His account was actually Tony Redgrave's that he had stolen from a legitimate user from a hacker website, and even his username didn't match up with his account name. Could he make it any more blatantly obvious he's a hacker? No! He himself is already in the process, probably today, has lost his Valorant account for life. He got kicked off Twitch for life as well on Saturday. These people shouldn't be on the internet to begin with. That's obvious. There's really bad mental health issues, unmedicated, undiagnosed, and I just believe we need to bring in a psychopath register, mental health register, and people that are on it are never allowed to get onto the internet under any circumstances, because all they ever do is try to destroy. The people doing this are not mentally healthy. They're evil. They are pure evil. They're psychotic, right? They want to hurt everyone. They want to see the world burn. And stupid kids, idiot morons, have financed this because they want to do it the easy way. They ruined gaming for everybody. Now they've ruined the entire Internet of Things for everybody by financing weaponized hacks that cannot be reversed. This kills your computer, your hardware. Okay? So at some stage, this is going to be evolved from being weaponized to nukenized. Okay? Where, as soon as it gets onto your computer and you restart your computer, go to boot it up next time, make pause out the top. Your computer's dead. You kids have done this en masse. You adults that have also gone down this same pathway. And I'm talking about you elder teens. You think you're adults, you're still kids. You are to blame for this. You are to blame for the potential end of the internet because you are too dumb to have read up about the dangers of what you're doing. The fact you're disabling your antivirus to start with, to run these hacks to begin with and play games is astronomically stupid to begin with. And now you've made yourselves number one targets to these guys to have your computers hit first. You're going to be the guinea pigs, the test subjects of how quickly and badly they can blow your computer up. Then the rest of us afterwards. Congratulations. You are official numbskulls. You have literally signed a death sentence for the internet from your ill behavior and your stupidity and your dishonesty. Congratulations, hackers, cheaters. You've killed everything. Hope you feel happy with yourselves. Guys, that's it. There's nothing else. There's nothing else. That's it. We're screwed. The Black Lotus, although pretty, minus the skull in the middle, is the end of the Internet of Things. If China and all these countries do not get together, band together, and hunt every one of these parties down, take their hardware and get it off the net. If they do not do this now, this time next year, we're going to be looking potentially, right? I'm not a soothsayer, I can't say the future, but potentially looking at people reporting exploding computers and house fires possibly as well. And all of you cheating idiot kids and cheating adults, you should feel guilty. You are literally to blame for financing these people to make this in the first place so that happens to people's computers and houses. Start thinking about other things other than just yourself and your own stupid, narrow-minded beliefs. Anyone ever says to me on the internet in a game, they're not cheating ever again, I'll be playing this to them.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Okay? Simple. Because they are the dumbest people on earth. Anyone who says no one's cheating is a cheater. It's a fact. Anyone that doesn't believe someone's cheating is an ignorant fool. That's a fact. End of the day, we are looking at the end of the Internet of Things. We are looking at people's identification and your identity being stolen like it goes out of fashion. $5 million, mansions in Cyprus under your name, federal police rocking up at your front door and arresting you, and then you having to prove you didn't do it. These people will have your birth certificate details, your driver's license, your credit cards, your passport, everything. And because it'll be done under a Tor browser environment in the dark or deep web, they will be able to go to court and go, look, here's the evidence. I have all of his details. He signed the contracts. Ever done a digital signature before? Yeah. You will go to jail for the rest of your life for tax evasion, and the guy that hacked you and stole all your crap is going to be living it up in Cyprus in a massive mansion with flamingos and frickin' peacocks jumping around in the backyard, laughing every day of his life till he dies. And you'll be spending the rest of your life in jail because you were stupid enough to cheat in the first place. I'll leave you with that thought. Hopefully you did watch this part of the video. You do share this with other people because this is happening in reality this minute. This is real world. This is what you have done to the rest of us. take some responsibility and share this with other people. If you're an innocent victim like me, I implore, please, please, please share this video. Get it out there. Not for views. I don't give a crap about that. You see how small my channel is. I'm here to just tell the facts. Nothing that the big IT channels will cover, nothing that the mainstream media will cover, nothing that conspiracy channels will cover. This is just the facts, how it is. Please share the goddamn video and make others aware. This is the scariest thing that has happened in IT history, and potentially identity theft is going to become a standard. The Internet of Things is going to potentially die unless we make this a massive talking point worldwide today. I'm Death Valley Gaming. Peace out.